And we're back. Welcome in Stripe Show Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for making us part of your day. Hope you're enjoying the Olympics in Tokyo. But I'm going to bring you back here stateside here today because I want to introduce you to one of the newest members of the PGA Tour. When they get it started all over again after the playoffs, it'll happen quickly out in Nampa. The guy joining me here, Dylan Wu, he'll be in that field, I would imagine, as he won the Korn Ferry Tour event a week ago, Price Cutter Charity Championship presented by Dr. Pepper. And with that win, he moved from 31st to 14th, and that's going to get him his car. Congratulations, Dylan. Welcome into the pod.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks for having me.
Dude, what is it like to shoot 27 under par? I mean, my goodness, 27 under par for 4 rounds. What's that like?
Yeah, I want to say the course is hard, but it's definitely really low. I think it's just when we play in the Midwest at these courses, the temperature is hot. It's 90 degrees, ball's going far, and you can't make the greens super firm just because they'll die. So the greens are soft. So when you have that combination, ball go far, soft greens, not that high of rough. Guys are good, so there'll be a lot of birdies made, and luckily I made enough birdies last week to win. So it's definitely rewarding almost to go low to win, just because going low seems like the hardest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like in my career, I love playing tough courses. So to win at a course where you have to go low is definitely really rewarding.
Yeah, show the versatility, right? And speaking of tough courses, you were T31st at the U.S. Open as well, which was a difficult golf course. But then you also have the ability to take it to 27 under and win. You know, it's interesting because like everybody has that comfort zone where they're like, okay, I'm in go mode. And then I get to this number and then all of a sudden I start to protect, right? And, you know, some players, it might be, gosh, I'm going to break 80, or for some, it's going to break 70. And it's just that comfort zone. And it's like, wait a minute. I've done all of this to get to this point. Why am I all of a sudden like putting the brakes on? Why do I just keep going? Is that something that you had to teach yourself where it's like, just keep going, just keep making birdies? Or was that just something that came natural to you?
Yeah, it's definitely, I'd say it's something that you learn, especially going from junior golf to amateur golf. I think the transition from college golf to pro golf. I mean, honestly, the reality is if you're not playing on the PGA Tour, and if a course is not hosting a PGA Tour event, they probably want to host the best college players. So honestly, when I was at Northwestern, the courses we got to play were great. I mean, every year I play Olympia Fields, Erin Hills. I mean, tough golf courses that are really good. I played a bunch of PGA Tour courses more in college than I have in pro golf. And the reality is, even on the Korn Ferry, but on the other tours, whether it's McKinsey Tour, Form Tour, or any of the mini tours everywhere in the country, you're probably going to play an easier golf course because the costs are lower to host the tournament. Easier golf course. I mean, it's not going to be conditioned as well as the PGA Tour event, so it's just going to be an easier course, which means you guys are going to go lower. That's the reality. When I first turned pro, I mean, the reality is if you shoot 70 every round in college golf, you're first team All-American. If you shoot 70 in mini tours, you're not making any money. So it's just the different golf courses. So I think that's prepared me is, when I first turned pro, Monday qualifiers definitely helps. Just because you have to learn to just keep the gas on the pedal. It's the hardest thing to do because, I mean, it's really easy to get in your own way. And, I mean, honestly, it's kind of like the stuff. I remember reading a book when I was a kid, like Vision 54. It's like, why can't you just birdie every hole? I mean, reality, like, you've hit a bunch of great shots over. I mean, I play golf every day, basically, and I've hit a bunch of good shots and birdied, say, your home golf course every single time. Like, every hole on the course. Why can't you just do that one round? So it's kind of having that little bit of perspective, but it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
I think for me as a pro, I mean, once you get past, like, 6 or 7 under, and then you're like, you get towards shooting in the low 60s, that's where you kind of start thinking about it too much, just because no matter what, you shoot 6 or 7 under on any golf course, whether it's easy or hard, it's a good score. So yeah, it's definitely just a mindset. I wish it came naturally. I mean, sometimes guys that didn't play college golf and just know how to just score. I mean, if you don't get to the PGA Tour right away, I mean, it's a good asset to have already.
Yeah, there's a lot to be saying, you know, you have to have a place to play, right? And when I taught a lot and worked with a lot of kids, like you know, there's always the college in mind that you want to go to, or maybe there's a better fit where you can go and learn, but eventually you got to get out there and play and score. And for players at your level, win, right? Like you got to win. And what does that feel like? And maybe taking a step back and playing in a tournament that's not as big in stature and just doing what you need to do there to get your mind right and win can go a long ways. You went to Northwestern, you worked with Pat Goss, and you still do. Pat, of course, a top teacher, worked with Luke Donald for years and he's really good in the short game. Yeah. But he was your head coach, and Pat knows certainly what it takes to get someone out there and be successful as a professional golfer. When you look at where you are now, about ready to start your PGA Tour career here in, say, a couple months, and you look back to your experience with Pat, what do you think, if you had to draw one or two things that he's really helped you to prepare for this point, like in the things that maybe he's told you or has taught you that is now like, man, I can really see the value in that as I've now propelled now to the PGA Tour card?
Yeah. I mean, Pat's a great coach. I used to work with him like on my entire game ever since I got to Northwestern. Just a busy guy, and I love him. And he was the reason I went to Northwestern. I kind of told myself at the beginning, like, I could go to all these great academic schools. Academics were important to me just because golf's really hard. I mean, you got to have a backup plan. Not enough people do. But he was the reason I went there, and he's just been honestly just great. He's really honest. It's one thing I love about him. I mean, a lot of like teammates, I mean, sometimes you can't handle it, but some of his famous quotes are like, "Don't be sorry, just do better." Or when you're working on stuff, the technique on stuff, he's like better, not right. So like it all depends on how you take it. So stuff like that, just being really honest with me on my development as a game. And then also, I think just how I practice, like learning how to practice like a professional golfer. And I mean, seeing him work with Luke Donald over the years when I was in college, learned a lot just from watching. It's not like golf gets that much different when you play it from junior golf to amateur golf to professional golf. Like good golf is good golf, but right. Just like how to practice and how to just having a plan for success is something that he really ingrained in me. And then also just as a professional golfer, you see it nowadays more. Like you don't have to have a perfect swing. Everybody gets it done in a certain way. You need to figure out your own formula on how to gain the most strokes on the golf course. Whether it's you hitting it really far, whether it's you putting it really well, whatever works for you. But sticking to your DNA. And for him, one thing he's been telling me, especially the last year and a half, 2 years, is that your only goal is just to keep on becoming a better player, just developing your skills and becoming a better golfer. Let the results take care of themselves. Just because at the end of the day, if you wake up the next day a better golfer than the day before, that's all you can ask for. You don't have any control of those results. And the goal is not just to get to the PGA Tour. I mean, of course, I'm celebrating now that I'm going to be on the PGA Tour this fall, but the goal is to keep on developing your skills so you stay there. That's what he's been telling me the last couple of weeks, even past month, 2 months, where I've been outside the top 25, and the PGA Tour has kind of course, been on my mind, but like it's not been a lot until now. So he's just a great kind of role model advice. He's worked with so many guys on the PGA Tour. I mean, he took Luke Donald to #1 in the world for a long time, so I really trust him on input for everything. And he's only looking out for my best interest. So no, he's definitely one of the guys in my corner that.
I think you made a good decision. Going there, and this win was big. I mean, you were 31st coming in. Now you're 14th. So now you've got some comfort here. You can start to plan a little bit, look ahead, to the tournaments that you can get into. Is there a particular event that as you look ahead, you're like, man, I can't wait to get there? This is going to be so much fun.
I mean, Napa should be pretty fun. I mean, it's a good first event. I mean, I'm a big foodie. My fiance and I like to drink wine and enjoy food.
What is like Pinot? What are you like, Pinot, or are you like a?
I'm a big cab guy.
Cab, okay.
So we're actually off topic a little bit. Like this week we have an off week, but we're actually flying to Napa tonight. I booked like a 3-day trip for us to Napa and tour a lot of wineries about a month and a half ago when I made the cut to the U.S. Open. So it was way before I won, but we're flying tonight. We're gonna enjoy ourselves there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can't go wrong there. There's some wonderful things. You might just take a trip up to Willamette Valley too if you want in Portland. There's
exactly
your cap guys. So they're Pinots are big up there in.
But I think Yeah. To answer your question again, Napa is gonna be a cool first event. I mean, living in Scottsdale now, I practiced a lot at TPC in the past couple of years, and I actually just became a member at Whisper Rock not that long ago. But to play in the waste management would be a really cool event. It's definitely an event that's harder to get into, but maybe hopefully get a sponsor if you're knowing the right people or playing
Yeah.
well enough in the fall, we'll get that. But that's, I mean, every event out there is just so much better. That's what I've realized. I played in the Shriners before and then the U.S. Open. No matter whether it's an opposite field event or just any event out there, I always joke around with my friends. I can't wait to finish like 18th and make over 100 grand.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, your life's about ready to change, and there'll be a big learning curve, on the PGA Tour, just like probably you've had to learn, a lot of things about the Korn Ferry Tour and traveling as a professional and getting in and out of cities. There's a lot that goes into that. You mentioned your golf swing and not having to have a perfect swing, but you damn near do. I mean, you got a great swing, Dylan. I know you work with Jeff Smith, have for a little while now, and I know you can't see the swing, but we're going to put it up here, and I'd love for you to just kind of give us some insight to this swing and maybe some of the things that you're working on right now with Jeff.
Yeah, so I'm honestly, I didn't really have that much instruction growing up. Kind of was like a homemade swing a little bit. Like my dad was a big role model. When I was born is when he started learning the game. So kind of have some unique matchups. I've like one of the things I do, I think I overdo, and I don't really like too much about my swing. Is something that is like being taught more and more now. It's just I over shallow the club. Like I remember growing up and I'm like, I hate this. Like everybody wants the steep. I'm like, you want like the line like kind of steep. I remember I was looking. This is before instruction has changed in the last 10 years, but like I remember growing up, I'm like this. I don't like this at all. But yeah, one of the things I've always grew up with like a weak left hand grip. Just always comfortable with that. And a lot of this, I mean, a lot of things I was talking with Jeff, like the matchups I have. I played ice hockey for 13, 14 years before. So like a lot of the setup stuff I do is kind of just almost resembles a little bit of like a slap shot. So like our right side's a little likes to go this way, and my body opens up a lot. But the one things I'm working with Jeff on, the biggest thing he teaches is just doesn't really teach much downswing stuff because he wants it to be kind of just a reaction of the backswing. So making sure the backswing matchups are good. But the one thing that we're really focusing on my swing is maybe just trying to strengthen my left hand grip a little bit to get the club face a little stronger through impact. I mean, throughout the entire swing. And one thing I do when I shallow the club when I open it up, when I shallow is when the club face opens. So I tend to get the club face a little open and the club to underneath, which results in a lot of timing. So we're working on trying to feel like it's weird. Like a lot of guys, I get too much this way with my right my right arm. It just gets my trail arm. He calls it just gets way too external. Like it just like touches my rib cage.
Right.
Versus like other people, like they try to do that. They like try to practice like really shallowing, and I just do it naturally. So I literally have to feel like I'm like steeping in the club a little bit. But yeah, the few things we're working on, basically trying to keep it simple. Like I've been trying lately to strengthen my left hand grip a little bit in practice, and then try to feel like based on my right trail arm, just trying to make sure it doesn't get so external. Just trying to make sure it maintains a little bit, just to get my plan's pretty good. I just want the club face in a little stronger position. Like Victor Hovland's a guy. I mean, you see it nowadays. A lot of guys who are the best players in the world. If you have a shut face or a closed face to impact in the downswing, all you have to do is hold on. It's pretty easy to
just turn and hit it. Yeah,
exactly. Versus when you have an open face, it's a little more timing.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a little harder for me in my longer clubs because that's when it really wants to shallow. So I'd say I'm a pretty good driver of the golf ball. And honestly, with Jeff, the one thing I love about Jeff too is that he's honest too. Like when we first started working, it's like you got some very unique matchups. He told me, and I always joke with him. I'm like, I must be really good to be able to play well with my swing. That's what I always joke to him about because I'm like, all these guys that have sometimes perfect swings. I'm like, I kick their ass. I'm like, my matchups aren't perfect, but yeah, for me, it's just trying to keep it simple. Yeah, the long term thing is just trying to get the club face a little stronger throughout the swing. I feel like my backs, he always says you make a perfect backswing, but like just my unique motion of the transition shallowing, I just overdo it. So just kind of minimizing that is the long term goal.
Rapsodo mobile launch monitor. Improve your golf swing today. Pro level launch data in the palm of your hand. It is very accurate, within 2% of a $20,000 unit. The Rapsodo MLM app automatically tracks stats and stores video with Shot Tracer, helpful for club gapping and understanding true distances for each club. Rapsodo MLM provides immediate feedback, data, and creates a better practice environment, not mindlessly hitting balls. Extremely portable. Case is about the size of a rangefinder. And you know what? You can use it both indoors and outdoors. I love this launch monitor. It's the Rapsodo mobile launch monitor. Check it out at rapsodo.com, rapsodo.com, rapsodo.com. You know how many people listening and watching this right now are just like, you got to be kidding me. I've been trying to shadow the club for 20 years and this guy's got too much. It's like, that's a very rare thing, to have that shaft pitch back too much. And that's a better player talking. I mean, those are better player errors. Not an error, just an opportunity, right? Like it kind of gets a little pitch back, the face gets a touch open, but you're so gifted, you can maneuver the face at the bottom 9 times out of 10. It's just the 1 or 2 that sneak in there that are like, I don't want that, so let's go this way to get it out.
With the golf swing, I've learned over time, I mean, no matter how good of a golfer you are, your tendencies and the way you swing is going to be what makes you good. You just got to make sure you own those things and don't just, you got to swing, make, like for me, it's like, make the best version of my swing possible. Dylan Wu's swing. Lee always says he's not going to swing like Adam Scott. He's going to swing like himself. Just making yourself better. And you're probably going to be working on the same things like that you were working on as a kid or junior golf or college golf for the rest of your life. So that's the one thing. And it's always a process. It's the hardest thing to do is make a swing change, especially when you're in the season. But yeah, the one thing I do a lot that I really like, I think from hockey too, is I open a lot. I rotate and open my body a lot. So it's the one thing with irons that Jeff says I can hit them really straight with my matchups. This is just because when the club's a little more shallow and a little more underplayed, I can just open my body and rotate. But with the longer clubs, it gets a little harder. That's why I'm even growing up. I was always wondering, like, why don't I have that matchup that people love with like the right side bend, hands really like up, like say like Brooks Koepka's swing or like the impact position that really square shoulders. I'm like opposite. My hands are like a little more like Sergio. So like Pato was, when I was in college, Pato is like, or guys would ask me like, he'd ask like, whose swing do you want to have the most? And the person I related to was Sergio, just because I feel like I swing. He's the guy that, shells a club and my swing most likely resembles. If you want to have a model, if you want to look to somebody, you might as well look at somebody that's going to swing similar to you. Like I'm not going to swing like Tiger at all. We don't have it all the same matchup. So you're just going to have to figure out what's your best path to become a better ball striker.
What do you like to see the ball do? Is it pretty straight or does it die one way or the other?
So I prefer a left-right shape, but I hit it pretty straight. My ball doesn't really curve. To be honest, when I do like to see the woods curve a little more left to right in my irons. I keep on saying I like to hit cuts, but I hit it pretty darn straight. Honestly, when I'm hitting it my best, it's like a pull cut. My person's pretty tight. I just know when I'm not hitting it the best is when the club gets a little under and I get a little more timing and I hit some pull draws. But yeah, I hit it pretty straight. It seems like nowadays, you don't have to work the ball both ways, but it's good to know how to do that. But yeah. A lot of times, especially if you're playing a course like I played last week, where it's a lot of wedges and stuff like that. Hitting your stock shot and the greens are soft, like hit your stock shot most of the time. It's going to work out. Yeah. You might need 1 or 2 shots around that you need to curve it around a tree or whatever.
Right. It's interesting, like what you said there, and I have this conversation a lot with students, is that you said when the club gets under and when the face gets a little too open, you hit more draws. And if you scratch your head like, wait a minute, he said the face was open. What happens is the face gets too open and then you got to cook it. Yeah. And now all of a sudden the face is looking left and you never want to hit that shot because it starts left and goes left. So it's like the fix is you got to get the face more shut in theory. Exactly. Yeah. And now you can just turn and hit it. So oftentimes it's the opposite. And there's players who on tour right now and certainly over the years that have had the face a little open and that's the way they hit it, and that's their DNA and off you go. I think more times than not, you're seeing that face pretty square,
100%.
maybe a little shut, and then they can just kind of do what they want from there. And it's certainly a lot easier to fade it, turn, cover it, open it, especially how you want to open when that face is prepared. And I'm sure it's like when it's prepared and you're just turning and hitting your start lines, it's like, man, I can't hit it hard enough. Like I'm just so locked in, right? Like you were this last week when you shot 27 under par. You were a big hockey player. Your whole family is too, right? And I wanted to ask you this, like when you hit a hockey shot, like, and I'm not a hockey buff at all. Like are you? To me, it always felt like you're like more on top of it, like almost ahead of it.
Yeah.
Where in golf, like you're a little bit more behind it, right? Now you're still opening, but is that accurate?
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. I felt like when I'm hitting a slap shot, and the slap shot's the closest thing to, like, a wrist shot doesn't really matter, but like a slap shot, you're really covering it. You're really leaning into your left side, and it's just a lot of rotation. Like that's the feeling right there. And the one thing with the golf swing, it's very different. Like the one thing I've always never been a big fan of is like the hip separation in the swing, like feeling like the hip separate, like the hip start and the downswing. I've never been a fan of that. I think it's just because of hockey. Like I don't really think too much of it. I always tend to lean a little bit, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. But that's something I think just playing hockey for 13, 14 years and hitting slap shots definitely resembles what I do in the golf swing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little different. And there's not as many people that like have it, but you just got to own your swing and just, yeah. I mean,
because the reason I say it, like you can see it in your swing, like I wouldn't imagine that you back up very often.
No,
like you don't, like a lot of players.
I stay in posture too long, and I don't extend up sometimes enough to where I drag. So like the one thing,
right.
I don't know why I've always done this, but like always over shallowed, and then I always drag the clubs. Like there's always a little separation from my left arm and left wrist. So I think it's like a little bit like Jordan Spieth. I remember like reading stuff about it. He helps him hit it straighter, and I think that's why I drove the ball pretty straight. I still drive it pretty straight, but like those are the one things. But one of the things like in chipping and stuff like that, like my full swing stuff kind of gets into my chipping because I really want to use the balance. You want to deliver the club, but dragging the club, like you're pulling the handle a lot. So it's definitely different. A little different.
I love that move though. Like you can see, like when you start down, like the left shoulder, left hip, pelvis, kind of there's almost like a little sink, and then you turn. There's no, like sometimes you'll see people pop up and they'll back up out of it, but you don't see that with you.
That's one thing I really think I play really well in the wind. So like I know under pressure, I hit a lot of low, like I can hit trap jaw whenever I want. Like whenever I'm playing well or like in contention under pressure, you have to hit a shot. I'll always go to floating shots. And when you're playing soft greens like we were in Missouri, I mean, you can hit it whatever height you want. It's all about controlling spin. So that's the one thing I like playing in the wind is something one of my strengths is just because I can control the ball flight. Like I remember we were playing in Bahamas last year and it blows 30, 35. Like scores are carnage out there. And there's some holes that are 130 yards. You have to hit 5 or 6 irons. And I'm playing with a guy, I forget who, but he like hits it like, he tries to like hit it above the wind. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm thinking like 20 feet off the ground. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've never heard that. I'm going to hit it above the wind. So
that just seemed like it looked like he just popped the 4 iron straight in the air. It's 140 yards. I'm like, dude, that went 100 yards. It just went straight into the wind.
That's awesome. So we'll finish with this here. You're gonna finish up on the Korn Ferry Tour, and then you're gonna get out there. As we talked about the courses, you have any buddies out there right now? You know anybody on the tour? Like, man, get out here. We can't wait. We're gonna crush this thing. Who you got out there that you can't wait to mix it up with?
Yeah, I mean, luckily when I played in the U.S. Open, I played a practice round with Collin Morikawa. He's a friend of mine. I played a lot of junior golf, college golf. One of my friends on the Korn Ferry Tour was his teammates, KK Limbassett. So Collin's one of the guys I would love to. I mean, I played a practice round in the U.S. Open. I'm like, this is a guy. If I had to structure my game on a player who I want to be, like the player I want to be, it's basically Collin Morikawa. Like literally, hits cuts. It's about the same size as me. I mean, really good iron play. I mean, when I played with him, like, this guy's gonna win 8+ majors. I remember playing in the U.S. Open, like, this is a pressure. I'm like, he doesn't miss. Like, there's a reason he's like the best iron player in the world. How does golf look any better? I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just amazing to watch, and it's amazing to learn. But there's a couple other young guys I played. Like when I played in the U.S. Open, I played pressure on with Victor Hovland too. I played a little college golf with him. He worked with Jeff Smith too.
Yep.
There's a couple of young guys that played that graduated the Korn Ferry 2 years ago. Doug Gim, Scott Harrington plays on the PGA Tour now. Of course, the Northwestern guys I would love to play with. Now that we're gonna have hopefully I think 5 guys on tour next year, which is pretty cool. I mean, guys don't think of
That's
Northwestern
awesome.
as a golf school, and we're in the Midwest, so just shows that you can play golf, college golf, literally anywhere nowadays, and you can still get to the PGA Tour. Yeah, I mean, it seems like everybody out there on the PGA Tour is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I got to play a few on the weekend. I played with Adam Hadwin, Brian Harmon. It's kind of nice playing with guys that I hit it a little farther than, just to show that you don't necessarily need distance to succeed on the PGA Tour, and they're both prime examples of that. And all the guys here in Scottsdale, Max Homa, Ches Reed, Kevin Streelman, some guys that live here that I've been able to play with a few times. I'm just excited. I don't care who out there. I just want to get out there and play with the best guys out there. So I'm just really excited.
Well, Morikawa is not a bad guy to be running around with. I mean,
no,
he's and here I'll give you a couple other names to look at because you want to hang out with like great putters too. Like, you know, like just watch the ball go in like all the time. Like, you know, try to play with Louis, try to play with you know, JT Poston, Kokrak's a great putter, Zach Johnson, Brendan Todd, like, you know, kind of chime it up to those guys too, because they can, you know, like they just make putt after putt after putt. Putts. So like, and now Morikawa, you know, we know when he makes putts, like forget it.
Deadly.
I mean, it's over because the dude is the best ball striker on the planet, you know. So yeah, you got it. You can tell it's the first time we've talked. You got a great head on your shoulders, and you know, it's funny. Like I have a lot of conversations with players and coaches and sports psychologists, and you know, one thing always stuck in my mind. Dr. Brent McCabe, he's, you know, I said, what's the one thing that you find yourself saying a lot to these players that you're working with, especially young ones? And he's like, you know, that they are good enough. You know, like it's like the belief, like who you are and what got you here, you're good enough, right? Yeah, so like 100%. You don't have to reinvent anything.
The wheel.
You know, like,
you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, like tweet, get better, get stronger, like, you know, the natural things.
It's just how you got there. Like all the things about my swing, about my game, it's not going to change when I get to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you're good enough. Like you made it.
You're just playing on a different golf course and you're playing against better players. But of course, like the way you play golf should stay exactly the same. That's how you succeeded in the past, and that's what it's your formula. You just got to stick to your DNA. I mean, that's the one thing I want to do when I get to the PGA Tour. You're playing big boy courses and stuff like that, but you don't have to go for every pin. I mean, that's the one thing I think I will like on the PGA Tour is not having to shoot 600 or 700 to make the cut. I mean, I was looking last week. I shot 400 the first day. I was like, I played this course before. I mean, the cut's like 500 or 600. I was 400 and I was in T47. I'm like, it was kind of easy, but like, I still shot 400 and I was in 47th place. I'm like, wow, this is tough. The cut might be 8. So like, that's the one thing I do. I mean, like play on the PGA Tour, you play way tougher courses. You have to control your golf ball a lot more.
Yep.
I think that's the one thing. And then I think hitting fairways is gonna be a bigger premium for sure. That was playing in the U.S. Open was definitely just an eye opener. It's just how you playing from the fairway. I mean, some pins you can't even go for. You're trying to hit like 60, 70 feet from the rough, like, or just trying to figure out where the best chip shot's gonna be. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself, and just try to get better every day. Just keep on developing my skills, and then hopefully that leads to 25 plus years on the PGA Tour, and then I get ready for the Champions Tour.
You just got to promise me that when you win, like, let's see, you're gonna tough course, you win the Players, right? That's a course that, you know, you're not going to just tear up every single time. The Honda, right, down at PGA Honda. Nationals, always anything in Florida, man. Like you're not shooting 6, 7 under every day in Florida, any of these courses. So U.S. Open tracks. I mean, I
wouldn't mind winning the American Express, just shooting like 30 under. I mean, it's always kind of cool. People, I mean, I think playing any event out there and playing well will be great. I think you just got to learn. The scores reflect how the conditions of the course are going to be. If it's tougher, But there's a reason, like, I kind of have a number every week on the course. Like last week, I think my goal was 25 to 28, and I
Jeez.
did that. And most of the times, my number is pretty good. But like at the U.S. Open, my goal was to shoot even for 4 rounds, and those guys, like John Rahm shot 6 under. He probably has a number like 10 under. So it just keep on getting better, so I can see what I know is good golf is going to be, and that's the plan
Yep.
out there. But I'll take any victory out there if you gave it to me.
Hey, well, just get out there, learn the ropes, make some cuts, make money, keep getting better. Like you said, you're doing all the right things. Just let it all kind of fall into place. Maybe it falls into place early and you win one. I don't know. Like maybe it takes a while. Who knows? Just keep doing what you're let the wheels turn. It's a fascinating game like that, right? Because you can play great and not make the cut, and then you can not play great and make the cut, and it's just a weird dynamic. But it kind of works itself out over time.
Yeah, it's all about just control what you can control. There's a lot of variables you can't control. You can't control how other people play. You can control your attitude and how you play and how you prepare every day on the golf course, and just play your best every day. And then if you look back at it and you didn't make any mental mistakes, the things you can control, then that's all you can ask for. Sometimes golf is crazy. You kind of have ride roller coasters, and it goes up and down. Not many people can be like Mike Kuchar. I mean, you can be Cam Champ and win once a year, and a 3-time winner at 26, and you haven't played as well. I mean, with golf, you just need 4 good rounds. I mean, anybody can do it. You just need 4 good rounds in a row, and once a year, and you're gonna play on the PGA Tour for the rest of your life. So just got to have a positive
68,
mindset.
65, 63, 65. Those are the 4 you needed, there to win it. 14th in the Korn Ferry Tour. You're going to be a new member on the PGA Tour next year, starting in Nampa. You're going to Nampa this week, and I'm jealous. Don't drink too much wine. Dylan, thank you for joining me on the Stripe Show pod. I can't thank you enough, man. And the best of luck to you. We'll be watching.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.
I just want to interrupt this interview real quick and give a shout out to my friends over at OnCore Golf. OnCore provides some of the most cutting-edge technology in a golf ball that I have ever seen. Their team in Buffalo, New York is changing the script of golf technology through their perimeter-weighted designs, which offer players enhanced accuracy and control for every shot on the course. With their award-winning Elixir and Avant 55 golf balls, they are transforming the game for players of all skill levels. Visit OnCoreGolf.com/Travis Fulton for more details about their products that are revolutionizing the game. Now back to the Stripe Show.